Definition of marriage. I refer to a list of local MPs who will be supporting David Cameron's move to legalise same-sex unions as marriages. The Oxford English Dictionary defines marriage as the formal union of a man and a woman, typically as recognised by law, by which they become husband and wife. As we all know, obviously the Oxford English Dictionary is the definitive authority on everything, isn't it? You know, if the Oxford English Dictionary says something, obviously it's true. This makes it very clear that marriage must be between a man and a woman. Therefore it cannot be between two persons of the same sex. For who would then be the husband and who the wife? Yeah, it's really confusing, that, isn't it? I don't know how you'd ever get your head around that. It's just mind-blowing, isn't it? It's just going to absolutely throw you completely there. It doesn't throw me, personally, but then I'm not an idiot. The 2011 census records 59% of the English and Welsh population are Christian, 5% Muslim, 4% all other faiths. Oh, wonderful, all other faiths, miscellaneous. 25% with no religion and 7% unstated. Christian marriage is between a man and a woman, and this applies also to other faiths. In total, 68% against 25% with no faith. No, it's not the case. Someone who's not religious is not necessarily for gay marriage. Someone who is religious isn't necessarily against it either. Furthermore, those statistics were kind of rubbish. When asked further, most of the people who'd ticked Christian in the box, in the census box, actually said they didn't believe in God and simply ticked the Christian box because that's what they were baptised as, or because they just like to think they're a good person, which is not what the definition of a Christian is. So that's complete misuse of statistics there. Why change the definition of marriage to suit this relatively small minority? I think that's probably supposed to say suit. The answer to that is because it's a personal matter. It's not something that, you know, is decided by a majority. You know, if the majority of people decided you shouldn't get married, that doesn't mean you don't get married. It's up to you, isn't it? After all, if a person wishes to have a permanent union with another of the same sex, the law allows for this already and provides for a civil ceremony and legally binding contract. Yes, but it's a very second rate, isn't it? They're not allowing you to call it a marriage. No church of any faith should be forced to change its definition of marriage. They're not going to be. Try reading what the actual law says. That's not what's going to happen. No church is going to be forced to marry anyone they don't want to. Ugh, cry out loud. If this measure goes through Parliament, it will not, in my view, be too long before clergy who refuse to conduct a same-sex marriage are taken to court charged with discrimination. No, they won't. If this fails in a British court, and it is then taken to the European court. Pity help us all. Yeah, dirty foreigners. Blah, blah, blah. Now it is up to Christians and those of other like-minded faiths, because apparently the Conservatives are now going with this whole multi-faith idea. That used to be a very lefty thing, but now, you know, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Other like-minded faiths to contact their MP and make their views clear, for as our elected representative in Parliament, the MP's vote should express the wishes of the constituents and not be a personal view. If one disagrees with their view on this matter, one can express that very forcibly when voting in the next general election. Yeah, general elections really decide who rules the country, you know, and the policies they have on marriage are only going to be a very small part of the bigger pie that is their manifesto, you know. This is not a political matter. Well, yeah, it is, really, isn't it? Otherwise you would be pestering your MP about it. And MPs would be better to devote their time and energy to getting Britain out of debt and back to being a leading country and an example to the rest of the world as it was in the past. So, sounds like someone misses the days of imperialism there. So that's from a couple of weeks ago. Then we get some support, some dissent, some support. Agree with views on marriage. This is from someone called Jim. I heartily agree with the views stated in the December 27th letter headlined A Definition of Marriage. This government has no mandate to put through the proposed legislation, as it was not included in any manifesto, nor was it included in any of the Queen's speeches to Parliament. One wonders how the Queen, a person with Christian principles, yeah, have you ever looked at the royal family recently, will feel if asked to sign a bill to put the proposals into law. She probably won't care. The correspondent did not mention that our MP Stephen Mosley is on record as stating he supports the proposals. What puzzles me is those in favour have not stated why they want to go beyond the civil partnership status when that gives the same legal rights under heterosexual marriage. I can only think they want the right to have a religious ceremony. Yeah, it's all a conspiracy so that people can have a religious ceremony, even though, you know, religion generally is not very tolerant of their views. That's definitely what's happening. I mean, to be honest, this is the problem. The way I put it is, if you are married in a heterosexual marriage, if that's what we're going to call it, would you be happy to have that changed to a civil partnership? Would you be happy to, if we just gave everyone civil partnerswerships? Would that make you happier, rather than instead of letting gay people call their civil partnerships marriages, we could let we could say, okay, you've got to stay as a civil partnership, and we'll let all straight people have now got to call their marriages civil partnerships. I'd really be intrigued to know what any opponents of same-sex marriage think about that. By the way, all these people who keep telling me that I have a monolithic view of Christians, and I should look into a bit more, so I haven't already, and say I shouldn't assume they're all homophobic. Well, this person here is using the statistics to try and misrepresent the situation. If you are a Christian and you're not homophobic and you support gay rights, well, you need to speak out about this, and credit to you if you already are. But this, you know, I don't think it's sensible to call yourself a Christian if you don't agree with Christian scripture. If you don't agree with that, you are more aptly described as a deist or an agnostic or something. You are not. By calling yourself a Christian, you're lending weight to this person who's using these statistics to say, look how many of us there are, look how few of you there are. Silly that most of these people don't believe in God. They've just called themselves Christian because they think that's what they're supposed to call themselves, and there's no reason for them to. So yeah, that's just me reading the rather insane, loopy views of people who live in my city. Goodbye.